Hey guys, we got a sad update that's coming our way from the Bear or Bexar. The name gets to me, but Bexar County Sheriff's Office is related to the Camila Mendoza Olmos. I want to mention something. Me and Russ did this video that you're going to see, but this was before we got the update. So we are going to keep the video. We're going to let it play because I still think there's very good information. If not for this case, definitely that could be utilized for other cases. We kind of have a great discussion back and forth about what could have happened to her. And in the process, it's about asking the right questions, not knowing the answers, but just asking the right questions. But I have to be fair and I have to give you the update. So again, the county sheriff's office revealed deputies have found a body amid the search for the missing Texas teen Camila Mendoza Olmos, who was last seen outside her home in northwest Bexar County around 7 a.m. on Christmas Eve. According to Bexar County Sheriff's Javier Salazar, search teams comprised of the FBI and the Bexar County Sheriff's Office discovered the body around 4:45 p.m. near the Burning Bush Landscaping Company at Benson and FM 1560, a few hundred yards from her home in an area of tall grass. And this is kind of what we touched on in the second episode, but we really try to revisit it again here. But again, that video that you're going to see was done before the update. Salazar said it remains unclear whether her death was a suicide or a homicide. He acknowledged almost had past indications of suicidal ideation tied to depression, adding that the medical examiner will officially identify the body and determine the cause of death in the coming days. Salazar confirmed a firearm was found with the body and said investigators currently do not suspect foul play, citing indicators that suggest possible self-harm. Olmos was last seen outside her home on the 11,000 block of Caspian Spring in northwest Bexar County at approximately 6:58 a.m. on Wednesday, December 24th. Video footage from that time shows an unknown individual believed to be almost searching inside her vehicle for an unidentified item. Moments later, the footage ends. So we may know what that unidentified item could be now. For the past several days, search groups and authorities have been searching for Olmos. Her mother, Rosario Olmos, 48, told NYSA she saw signs of depression from her daughter, saying she was worried about her studies and grades, and her father didn't see it, though. Her father, I don't think, knew. So I wanted to give you that update. Kind of puts a lot of clarity. But again, if you watch the video, know that we didn't have the context of the final update. So I'm going to show you the video, but this is, well, not the final update, but the most recent update. Okay, guys, enjoy the video. Before we dive into this deep discussion that me and Russ have, about the Camila Mendoza Olmos case, I want to mention something. So this will be my third video. The video I did prior, I pushed the opinion of the mental health. In this video, we kind of play different roles. I am going to push more for the abduction on this video. Russ is going to push more towards the mental health. And we do it to challenge each other, because I think when we go to advocate, it gives us questions that need to be asked. It isn't about knowing the answers yet, but what are the right questions? So what we tend to do is have a back and forth, and we kind of pick a side to advocate on. And I think it matters. So we kind of also grow in the discussion, kind of like a debate to some extent. So in the second episode that I just did prior to this one, I pushed the mental health. This episode, I'm pushing more on abduction. Russ is going to push on the mental health, but we're trying to see maybe there's questions that still need to be asked. And usually we can discover those questions when we advocate and we get passionate, connected to what our side is going to be, the perspective we're going to provide. And you'll see that through this dialogue, especially as we get closer to the end. But I hope you guys enjoy the content and more videos to come. And please, guys, take Russ's advice at the end of this video. Stay safe, head on a swivel. Okay, guys, check out the video. How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Ganji. Welcome to another episode of Tear Talk. As promised, sorry guys, a bit under the weather. As promised, I wanted to have another deep dive about the Camila Mendoza Olmos case, and I wanted to have Russ come in so we could discuss it. Now, Russ is starting to get himself familiar with the case. So
I'm up to speed.
What is it?
I said I am up to speed.
Okay, he's up to speed. Okay, and I got some videos I want to show. And also, I got some areas where I feel we could deep dive in. And this would be just in an effort to try to piece things together. Because right now, I'm getting flooded with messages because there's been multiple girls found missing in Bexar County. Is that what it is? Or how do you pronounce it now?
Bexar, I believe.
Oh, Bexar. Okay, so
a lot of people pronounce it like bear. And they'll just kind of like slough over it a little bit.
Yeah, there's an X in there. I've been calling it Bexar, unfortunately, but Bayar. And then what do you call it? I did 2 videos on this already. I would definitely recommend that you watch those 2 videos because we're going to keep on diving in. But I do want to do this one video from Court TV that they just posted. I want to start with that one first. So I'm going to let it play out, and then this will kind of like be the beginning of our discussion. But then there's another video just popped up. It's with Camilia's father, and he believes that the girl in the dash cam video, or the person in the dash cam video, is not his daughter. And I want to try to approach that angle as well. But let's just start with this first. All right, Russ, let me start with the court one. This one. Guys, bear with me if there's some commercials. I'll mute it if there is, but I can't control that. So fair use, guys, fair use.
Right now, though, here on Opening Statements, we're turning to your top story. I'm sure you're hearing about this case. A teenager in Texas vanishes on Christmas Eve. And some new video may show Camila Olmos right before she went missing. The 19-year-old was last seen leaving her home in Bexar County, Texas, in the early morning hours of December 24th. The sheriff's office there says that she normally goes out on a walk, but her mom started to get concerned when she didn't come home. Authorities believe that she's in imminent danger, and they're not ruling out kidnapping or trafficking. The sheriff's office is asking for the community's help in the search efforts.
What we're asking is, once again, folks from the community, if you've got any surveillance camera video, or if you've got a surveillance camera that maybe you haven't had an opportunity to check up until this point, please make it a point to look. Again, the last video that we have, it's about 7 a.m. Christmas Eve morning.
Sheriff's office released new video that you see here on your screen. This is from a driver. This shows some visuals of somebody resembling the teenager at around 7 a.m. and that was on Christmas Eve morning. So this could possibly be the last sighting of Camila Olmos. Here's some more about what we know about her. The last time she was seen, she was wearing baby blue pajama shorts and a black and blue North Face sweater with white shoes. The only items that she had on her were her car keys and possibly her driver's license. This is all according to investigators who are working this case. They say that her cell phone and her car were left behind at her house. So, how does this young lady go missing? Let's talk about it. Let's bring in 2 incredibly seasoned investigators. Private investigator Manuel Gomez and retired NYPD detective and the co-host of the Gold Shield show, Tom Smith. Good morning to you both. Tom, let me begin with you, please. Your insights. How do you think this young lady vanished?
Yeah, you know what, Julie, when you have cases like this, investigators have to keep a completely open mind into every possibility with this because there's no viable lead yet. So you have to look into the possibility of an abduction, self-harm, or just a runaway. All of those are going to be taken into consideration because right now there's no direct lead into any of those. So investigators have to keep an open mind into everything. As much as what's being said about a possible, mental breakdown or whatever history she may have, you can't just rely on that. You have to go in a variety of ways until there's something really to nail down.
Yeah, great insight, Tom. Manuel, let me turn to you next. Your thoughts on her just seemingly to vanish without a trace.
Well, I agree completely with Tom. There are no solid leads right now, but the main evidence that we need here is the digital footprint. Her iPad, her cell phone, her laptop. Doing the forensic on that, retrieving the deleted texts, and that's the key thing. Retrieving any deleted emails and messages will show what she was doing. Professionally, I feel that she was groomed because no 19-year-old girl, Julie, leaves her cell phone on the bed, uncharged, and then walks out the door in underwear, in pajama bottoms and a hoodie to go for a walk. I'm sorry. This tells me it has the earmarks of somebody meeting up with her and possibly grooming. And this area, Julie, is infamous and notorious for sex trafficking. So yeah, do I think she's a victim of that? Unfortunately, Julie, if we didn't find her within the first 96 hours, the chances of finding her alive are very poor. But I'm glad that the community is out there in force, Julie, looking for her hard. And I really pray that they find her.
Yeah, we do too, Manuel. Thank you. And I want to really zero in on that point. You just made an excellent one about this young lady not taking a cell phone if she did have a plan to leave the house. We have a clip. This is from ABC News. They interviewed one of Camila Olmos' friends. Take a listen to what that friend said.
It's been very out of the normal.
It's not like her. She's always been the one to always stalk on us and like, why aren't you doing this?
To make sure that her phone's always charged.
Yeah, phone's always with her, according to this friends, to your point, Manuel. Tom, tell us what you think about that, the fact that the phone was left behind. How key is that?
Yeah, Manuel is 100% right. There isn't a 19-year-old that doesn't have that as part of their body. And going by their friends, it's just very odd, and that has to be keyed on. But as Manuel said, the digital footprint is going to be important. Who she talked to, who her friends were talking to, who in common they all talk to. All that is what's going to be key in this. And getting her picture out there to every conceivable spot to make sure everyone has a photo of her somewhere, because she has to get from point A to point B and maybe to point C. So the more her pictures are out there, the better chance of maybe someone recognizing her are.
Yes, dovetailing off of that point, Tom, pictures of her, video. Manuel, I'm wondering if we can assume these investigators are already knocking on every door in that neighborhood to see if anybody has Ring doorbell footage to give them. Oh, we just lost Manuel's signal. Tom, if you're still with you, I can see you. Manuel's signal's frozen. Tom, you'll take that question from me. Do you think that we can assume they're canvassing the area and asking neighbors for whatever footage they may have?
No doubt about it. You know, that's the age that we're in, the digital age that we're in, and people having cameras everywhere. Stores, businesses, private homes. You have to, knock on those doors and get that video footage, because they have a starting point. That's the good thing about this. They know where she started off from. So you can now track it, especially with that one car frame and the video of her walking. Now you can really start to piece things together, and hopefully there's some more video footage of her.
Well, this is so fascinating. Tom, I'd love to pick your brain. So when you said we have a starting point, so in other cases you worked, so you have not. And so this is a good thing perhaps for investigators, that they have one point in which to begin that search, the canvas, whatever you may call it, to try to, rule out any place in the immediate area where she may be.
Oh, no doubt about it. Because when you don't know where something started, now you have to work backwards into finding a starting point. With this, you don't have to. It started at her home, but they need to go through her room, any notes, any notebooks, any, videos that she might have done. All of that needs to be part of this investigation, on top of numerous interviews of her parents, her friends, her teachers, of anything that was said in a conversation, anyone she brought up in a conversation that she might have met recently. All of that is going to play into this.
You're mute.
Russ, Russ, I want to read you what we got, because there's a couple of things here I have, and then we'll start breaking it down. The last two episodes I did, one was a full, kind of like as best I could, the context, and the second one was we kind of focused on the father, his pleas, kind of bringing about awareness, but we did touch on a lot about mental health, because one of the interviews I saw was the first time I saw a news reporter bring up that there was stuff discovered in the digital forensics that made him feel that she could have had some mental health concerns, stuff leading towards depression and suicide ideation, but it didn't break down specifically what it was. So then I started seeing other news outlets started recently reporting that. So now the narrative is shifting sort of from abduction to mental health, but now it's going back to abduction because, and I have a video we'll show later, there are a few girls in this county that are showing up missing now. So let me break down everything I have so far. There's a lot here, Russ, and we could build off this so we're on the same page. And then The videos I want to show later is I have one with the father. It's another one I haven't shown yet where he's going to tell us that he does not believe the person in the dash cam is his daughter. And then I have one about 2 other teenagers that have gone missing. And then, 2 for that. So, and then that's it. That's all and the rest of us will just be us. So what do we know so far? So the identity and context, right? We know Camila Mendoza Olmos is 19 years old. We know she's a college student in Northwest, I say Bexar, but you're saying Bexar County, Texas. Lives with her mother. Yeah, I guess Spanish maybe. Lives with her mother. Parents are separated. Father lives nearby and described as loving, active, and future-oriented. Now, the night before, I have some critical context here. I think that matters, what we know. Camila was home the night before she disappeared. She slept in the same bed with her mother. She was last seen by family alive and unharmed. There are no public reports of an argument, a disturbance, police involvement, or a crisis call that night. Why this matters? A 19-year-old sleeping in her mother's bed is not evidence of wrongdoing, but it is contextually important, maybe. Possible interpretations. This is what I had in the other video, so I'm just going over it real quick. If you guys haven't seen the other video, I'd recommend you watch that video first, because I'm trying to progressively move forward and then get Russ's opinion. So the possible interpretations without assuming is emotional closeness, comfort seeking, a difficult day or conversation, a mother aware her daughter was struggling emotionally, or cultural or family norms around closeness. What we cannot say is we cannot say there was a fight. We cannot say the mother anticipated disappearance, and we cannot say Camila was suicidal that night. The mother's knowledge and the mental health question. So what law enforcement has said is the sheriff has acknowledged mental health concerns because digital evidence has raised that concern, but no specific details on that have been released. What the father has said in the interviews is that he stated he was not aware of severe mental health struggles, but he's not denying it. But there could be a chance that maybe Camila is closer to one parent than the other. What this tells us, without assigning blame, it's very common for young adults to confide more in one parent than the other, share emotional distress privately, hide struggles from a parent they want to protect. Because Camila slept with her mother that night, it raises reasonable questions. Did her mother know Camila was struggling emotionally? Had Camila expressed sadness, anxiety, or distress recently? An important distinction: knowing your child is struggling does not equal knowing your child will disappear or self-harm. There is no public statement confirming that the mother believed Camila was suicidal, that the mother anticipated danger, or that the mother withheld information. You do have a breakup with a boyfriend. What we know, law enforcement confirmed the recent breakup, described publicly as mutual. No suspects identified. Boyfriend was cooperative and participated in searches. What we don't know is the exact date of the breakup, how long the relationship lasted, whether it was emotionally mutual, whether there were follow-up conversations, or whether it occurred days or weeks before the disappearance. Why this matters? Because breakups, even mutual ones, can intensify underlying anxiety or depression, affect sleep routines and judgment, create emotional vulnerability, and coincide with identity stress in young adults. Key point here is a breakup does not imply wrongdoing, but it can be emotional stressor that matters in context. What she was wearing, very important. Black North Face hoodie with light blue accents, light blue pajama style shorts, white shoes. Why clothing matters. Pajamas short strongly suggest she did not plan to be gone long. She did not plan travel. She did not plan to disappear. And clothing is consistent with a short walk, stepping outside briefly, emotional or spontaneous decision-making, and clothing is not consistent with planned self-harm preparation or long-term absence. Last known movements: left home early morning on Christmas Eve, seen on home surveillance near her vehicle, later seen walking nearby on dash cam footage, but that has not been confirmed yet that that's her. People believe it may not be, including her father. Left on foot, no confirmed sightings afterwards, and this creates a hard stop in the timeline. That's why you see law enforcement really jumping out, asking for help, and releasing their evidence that they have. The evidence that matters: you got the phone, which was left behind and powered off. What it suggests is that maybe she expected to return. She was not planning extended absence. She may not have realized the phone was dead, or she may have just been emotionally distracted. What it does not prove is intent, suicide, or abduction. The digital evidence, law enforcement says it raised concerns. No specifics released, just that it raised concerns about depression, and suicidal ideation. The responsible interpretations indicates emotional distress, does not confirm action, does not confirm a plan, and distress does not equal disappearance. Now, the conflict within the evidence. Conflict number 1, mental health concerns versus no preparation. So there's no note that we know of, no packing, no goodbye message, no digital farewell. Conflict number 2, left voluntarily versus vanished completely. So leaving explains the start, but does not explain the disappearance. Conflict number 3, parental awareness gap. Mother may have known more, father may have known less. This is normal, not suspicious. Most likely versus least likely scenarios. Most likely, external intervention after leaving. They're alone, early morning, no phone, inadequate clothing, possible emotional vulnerability. This requires opportunity, not conspiracy. Second most likely is emotional crisis leading to risky situation, judgment impaired, trusted the wrong situation or person, still involves external harm. Third, voluntary, temporary disappearance, less likely with time, no resources, and no contact because we're already 6 days in. Least likely, which is intentional self-harm, no confirmed planning, no endpoint found, no note or message. Mental health explains risk, not resolution. Now, again, we do got stuff that's in digital evidence, but we don't know the specifics of that. And now that I'm covering this other video, I touched on the mental health. Now we're going to cover this side, which may lean a little bit more towards abduction. That's why I got Russ on here, because Russ, I know, will have an angle with that. And that's why I would love to have heard more what that other officer had to say on News Nation, because he was leaning towards something that I discussed in the last video that is going to come up in this one. And the questions that actually matter, because it's not about having the answers, but the right questions. What did Camila express emotionally to her mother before bed? Did the mother perceive distress, and if so, at what level? When exactly did the breakup occur? Did Camila's routine make her observable? What changed after the dash cam sighting, if that's her? Are we confusing vulnerability with intent? And what evidence would truly change the likelihood order? And then again, connecting it all. Camila may have been emotionally vulnerable. Vulnerability increases risk. Her behavior, clothing, and belonging suggest she expected to return. The disappearance likely occurred after she left home. And mental health may explain exposure, not disappearance. And the last thing I got here is the CLEAR alert. CLEAR stands for Coordinated Law Enforcement Adult Rescue. It is Texas alert system for missing adults age 18 to 64 believed to be in imminent danger. This is not a routine missing persons alert. The standards that are required for this is the person between 18 and 64 years old. Check for Camila, right? Because she's 19. The person has been reported missing to law enforcement. Camila was reported missing promptly. The person is believed to be in imminent danger of seriously bodily injury or death. This is the highest threshold and most critical requirement. Imminent danger may include mental health crisis, medical vulnerability, environmental risk, suspected criminal involvement, or circumstances indicating the person cannot protect themselves. There's a chance that Camila could hit all those. Sufficient descriptive information exists. Physical description, clothing, last known location, and time frame. And the public notification is likely to help. Law enforcement must believe public awareness increases the chance of recovery. Now, a CLEAR alert does not require proof of a crime, a confirmed abduction, a suspect, a vehicle description, a suicide note, or evidence of intent. It's based on risk, not proof. Now, why does this matter for Camila's case? A CLEAR alert was issued because authorities believe she met the age requirement. She was missing under concerning circumstances. There was credible belief of imminent danger. The public could help locate her. This explains rapid escalation, federal involvement, and continued urgency. And then you also have other girls have gone missing, even though they're treating it as isolated because each one has their own story. And I believe the Angelique one, they have been talking to her because at the end of one of the News Nation interviews, he was getting close to saying, yeah, we have spoken to her. But because you have a concern with an area that deals with high human trafficking, it does become a priority, and they're probably acting on universal precaution. So, Russ, I know there's a lot there. I gave you as much as I could. So wherever you would like to go from here, what do you got?
So let's start first of all with the fact that the FBI is involved. I think that there's two different ways you can look at that. One way we could look at it would be the sheriff did say that he had some type of information with regard to that. Well, not necessarily the FBI thing, But we could also look at it from the other standpoint of if they have had 2 other missing girls in this, this could just be being really proactive and trying to get out in front of it. So I wouldn't want people to read anything into that. We can take this away and say there is nothing indicative at this time that points in one direction more than the other. Another thing that I was told that the sheriff said was he had mentioned that they had a direction of flight. And so I thought that was odd word usage with regards to him. Why was it not a direction of travel? And so if we take it for granted that that was her on that video, and if the sheriff knows about that, why did he use that phraseology? Was it just a slip of the tongue? Was it a Freudian slip? I think the other thing that we can look or take away from that potentially is whether or not this might be a manic episode. And so if it is a manic episode, what the sheriff may be privy to, he may have some sort of note. He may have some sort of indicator that this is going in the direction of self-harm. It's kind of hard to see any other way to go for. I know those other guys, they were all jumping on it, and they were looking at the trafficking angle and all of this other stuff. But if it was going to be trafficking and she was at least in her right mind and she was groomed for this, why wasn't she a little better prepared? Why wasn't she a little better dressed? This to me looks like more of a manic episode. I know that's just my take on it. Hopefully she does get found, alive and unharmed, and everything. But I just think that there's some indicators here that might show something else.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, so we're trying to figure it out as we go. So in the episode I did before about mental health, I did mention that there could be some concerns related to abduction, because again, like the guy said, you have to think of all possible angles. So what would the possible angles be? She did have a mental health concern and could have left for some level of self-harm, or some type of self-harm if possible. That's on the table, and they have reason to believe that because of what they found in the digital evidence. Then you got abduction. She left on her own, or she just, as Russ said, just maybe had a mental breakdown, needed a moment to breathe. But that could have been more temporary, and people are thinking by now, 6 or 7 days later, there would have been some contact. Now, a lot of stuff coming through my social media platform now is people are leaning towards the abduction because you got these other girls that have come up missing. So let me show you one of the videos right now that are going to focus on one of the cases now, outside of Camila, if I'm saying her name right.
New developments in Texas, where officials are now looking for not 1, not 2, but possibly even 3 missing teenage girls from the same county. That comes as police released dash cam video that appears to show 19-year-old Camila Mendoza Olmos walking on the side of the road after vanishing Christmas Eve. News Nation's Nancy Liu joins me live with the latest. Nancy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nick. We have learned that another teenage girl is missing in Bexar County, Texas. Her name is Sofia Gabriela Peters Cabos, and she is 14 years old. There are no indications at this point that the recent disappearances are linked. Now, in this newest case, Peters Cabos was last seen leaving her home in a black flannel shirt at around 7 o'clock last night. Her last known location is only about 20 minutes away from where 19-year-old Camila Olmos was last seen. She mysteriously disappeared on Christmas Eve after heading out for a morning walk. Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar tells News Nation they are investigating all possibilities in the Olmos case.
We're considering all options at this point, all theories at this point, everything from, willful absence. She may have run away from home willingly. There may be some issues with self-harm. That's something we're taking into consideration. But also we're considering the fact that she may have been taken.
Camila Olmos was last seen walking near her home at around 7 a.m. Christmas Eve, and she had left her cell phone charging at home. She was captured on a driver's dash cam video. And prior to the dash cam images, Olmos was seen on a neighbor's Ring camera, leaving her house and searching inside her car. Now, her mother says Camila regularly goes for morning walks. Olmos was wearing a baby blue and black hoodie, baby blue pajama bottoms, and white shoes when she left the house. Now, the FBI is assisting with the investigation, and authorities say they have not ruled out human trafficking or kidnapping in the disappearance of Olmos. They are also investigating the possibility that she ran away on her own. Nick?
And Nancy, I do want to follow up with you. There have been reports of a third teenage girl also missing in the same county. Is there new information about that case?
Yeah, Nick. The Bexar County Sheriff tells News Nation that the third teenager recently reported missing, she has been located. They have made cell phone contact with 17-year-old Angelique Johnson, and Sheriff Salazar says she is willfully gone from home and has assured a return in a few days. She did leave with her cell phone, and again, Nick, they have reached her.
Not yet. It's Bexar County. Now, I want you to realize something. At the end of the video I did before, the second one, towards the end of the News Nation interview, he goes to mention that, but they're short on time, so they cut that off. But the media still runs with it. But then News Nation kind of was smart because they knew that was said. But when something like that is getting ready to be released, I would think just hold off on a second. That's not something to brush over. I want to show you something, Russ. I want to get your thoughts because they were running with the story that the three girls had gone missing, right? They were focusing on three. So he adds that, this guy, Jesse Weber, I guess he's filling in for somebody or if it's own show, I don't know. But watch the very ending of this one video. You would assume, I think it's this one. You would assume that, you would wait, figure out the time later, but that was important. That to me, that was breaking news. There's a chance that this girl went missing, right? And that they made contact with her. You figured that would be breaking news, right? But watch how fast it gets brushed off here. I'm very, watch how fast it gets brushed off. Look at this. This is breaking news, right? 3 girls gone missing. Right? Watch how fast this gets rushed off because he starts to bring it in. But again, maybe it's not newsworthy. See, my thing is this, Russ. This is what I get concerned of. They push the narrative that all these kidnappings or abductions or all these girls gone missing are happening in the same county, and then they go to push it a little bit to maybe, in my opinion, I could be wrong, to maybe get some headlines. But then when the sheriff says, hey, no, we talked to her, we found her, that should be breaking news. Now watch this. Watch how fast they push this off. Watch this.
Sydney Marquez has been missing since December 11th from South Houston. Their 17-year-old Angelique Johnson went missing near the same area. I'll let you go 30 seconds. There are 2 other missing women in Texas. There's Sydney Marquez has been missing since December 11th from South Houston. Their 17-year-old Angelique Johnson went missing near the same area where Camila has gone missing. Any possible connection that you can tell us?
No, with Angelique, we're handling that case as well. And we've actually spoken to her and we believe that she's alive and well wherever she is right now.
Okay, that's good news. Sheriff, thank you so much. Good luck on the search. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Be safe.
All right.
Thank you.
Did you see that, Russ? Look how quick they brushed that off.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to look at the way that journalists couch things, the way that they phrase things. When they start out by saying, they have not ruled something out. Well, you know what else that they haven't ruled out? They haven't ruled out alien abduction. And so the list for the things that they haven't ruled out is long and distinguished and not dispositive. So I think that they are perhaps inflaming it, and it's not that they shouldn't report the news, but they should have more caveats attached to it rather than talking about we have not ruled out human trafficking. Okay, well, that's a headline grabber, right? And while people should be concerned about that, they should also, dial that back and say, hey, there's now 2 girls that are missing, not 3. They don't know much about the case of the other one, except she. No, I'm not talking about Angelique. The other one, her name,
the one we just did,
eludes me right now. She had her phone with her. She's 14 years old, which means that as far as statistics go, more likely to be groomed, but also much more likely to be a runaway. And I'm not saying that runaways don't count, nothing like that. But what I'm saying is there are still some more plausible explanations on the table than what they're saying here. So I just don't like the way that that a lot of journalists, conduct themselves with regards to this kind of thing, because it's really sensationalism, and you can hear it in the way they talk and the way that they go about it. And it's so, matter of fact, and hey, wait a minute. Isn't the whole idea here getting this girl back? Yes. Some type of kidnapping would be the worst thing, perhaps. Human trafficking would be another horrible thing, but at least there's probably more potential for recovering her alive from something like that, but still horrible, definitely in danger. But then, not talking about what the angle could be with regards to this girl's mental state and what might be going on. And the fact that she disappeared in the type of clothing that she had, she specifically left her phone behind. And we know that there may be some digital forensics with regards to some things that might indicate something that is not nefarious, but in the realm of mental health issue. I think there's a disservice to the public and a disservice to that girl, to be quite frank.
Yeah, so I think some networks are pushing the mental health concern. I think it's just shifted recently because the sheriff came and noted stuff that was found in the digital forensics. And remember, guys, they may be seeing things or hearing things that we're not aware of, obviously, because they got also the FBI involved. But what gets me upset is they're quick to blast that these girls are missing, but they're not quick to blast that one of them has been found. I want to show you one more. This is a shorter video, but it's the same thing. So we at the end of that last video, they should have gave that sheriff more time to speak. I know they got sponsors, or they should have brought the person back on, but it just didn't go with the narrative, in my opinion. But now look at this one. Same thing. Search continues. This is a little bit of an update, too.
Search is underway in San Antonio, Texas for a missing teenager, and officials believe she may be in imminent danger. 19-year-old Camila Mendoza Olmos was last seen Wednesday on the morning of Christmas Eve. She was captured on a neighbor's surveillance camera just before 9 in the morning, standing next to her car, but no one has seen her since. CBS News reporter Karen Hua has been following the developments in the search. Karen, what are officials saying?
Well, Lindsay, good to be with you. Of course, a very heartbreaking and concerning time for the whole community involved. The Bexar County Sheriff says right now the prevailing theory is that she could have walked away on her own. The sheriff mentions that she does have a history of depression and self-harm, and there was some evidence of suicidal ideation found on her phone. But the sheriff says they're not ruling out anything in this case. The depression may not be related at all in this situation. They're not ruling out the possibility of kidnapping or human trafficking or any sort of foul play. In terms of what happened that morning of Christmas Eve, Camila's family says it's pretty regular for her to go for a morning walk, which is what they thought she did that Christmas Eve. But her mom says what is unusual is that she left her phone behind at the home and left it turned off.
And you spoke with her father. What did he say?
He, of course, is holding out hope, Lindsay, that she is still out there and is going to return home safely. But take a listen to what he had to say to us.
Oh, just been devastated, being her father, caring, love her, she's my baby, daddy's girl. And it's hard. It hurts. I might sound strong, but, I got my faith of God. But it hurts. Go home, thinking about her, what she would have been doing right now. Where she at? That works. Yes, it just devastating news.
So, just want to let me click that off. So, there again, so some networks are pushing the mental health concern, some networks are pushing the abduction concern. In the last episode, I did push for more of the mental health. But Russ, I want to go over some of the evidence here real quick for you, and then kind of let's play it out from all different perspectives, and let's see what fits and what doesn't fit. Again, I don't know, least likely to most likely, it doesn't matter. Let's just put it out there. So, could she have left on her own accord? What evidence you got, Russ, that she could have just voluntarily left?
So when we talk about someone leaving of their own accord, it's really important to try and think about the state that they were in. And by that, of course, I mean their mental health state. So if she's just taking off to be a runaway, even though she's 19, I know she's an adult. I've got all that, but as far as I see here, she still lived with her family or anything. And if she's just taken off to be with someone or to get out from underneath their influence, that doesn't really register, because it doesn't appear that she took any clothing with her other than what she was wearing, which was kind of, inappropriate for the situation to be just walking down the road or whatever happened there. She could have went to go be with somebody, that may have her best interest at heart or may be nefarious in nature. So that doesn't really fit to me. If she was being groomed by someone, she's maybe a little bit old for that. Not saying it doesn't happen, once again, but I think that we can rule that out, because once again, good of her to leave her phone behind if that's what was happening. But still, why didn't she take a little better clothing? Why didn't she take something else with her? Because that's what people do. They want some of their belongings with them. So I don't see that as part of it. So if we consider her state to be, her mental health is compromised, maybe she's even, in a manic or even a fugue state. Who knows exactly? There was supposedly trying to get more information on it. There's a breakup where they decided mutually to call it quits. That could be a trigger. So I think that there's a lot pointing to that. If you look at the other side of the equation, what points to some more nefarious activity? You have the fact that she's missing, and without being able to see what else is on her phone, without knowing what the sheriff might know, that's the only indicator. There was nobody in another car. There was nobody that we saw that approached her on that one little jog where she was seen there. And other than that, it's just kind of, yes, that could have happened, but where is the evidence? Where is something pointing in that direction? And that's why I'm so fearful about her mental state. Her mental state seems to be the most in question. And yeah, I base a lot of that on the clothing and her unpreparedness, and the fact that she had some things crop up behind her, and the fact that she could be in that manic or fugue kind of state where she just ran with the intent of going somewhere and doing harm.
Yeah, and guys, I want to mention something. If you go back to the first thing, she left on her own will, and let's say she left to be with somebody. She's 19 years old. She wouldn't have to hide it. She's 19. She's an adult. It's not like the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case where she was 13 when she took off, and then, the person that groomed her had to hide because of the fact that she is underage. You don't have an underage person here. So if she was willing to meet somebody, then she's willing to meet somebody. I mean, there's really not much the mother could do because she's 19 years old. So I don't know so much about the fact that she went to go sneak off and be with somebody, unless she's wind up wanting to be with a fugitive. I really don't see any reason for her to want to hide her or disappear because she's 19. She's an adult. Now, the mental health concern, to me, is one of the things I'm leaning towards, but I do want to touch on abduction too, because There are some certain elements that could matter, that could relate to that. But let's just get the mental health thing revisit one more time, because I did discuss it in the other video, but I'm going to reiterate a little bit here. It's very important to me the night before. I don't know. The mother had said she slept with the daughter that night, that they slept in the same bed. Now, I don't know if that's something that they normally do, because that could be the case. No judgment, that could be the case. Or if that's something that just stood out at that day, because maybe something happened overnight, or maybe, you know, I don't know how short the breakup was or how long ago it was, or maybe something was bothering her daughter. Maybe the mother knew her daughter had mental health concerns. Maybe the mother was pretty much aware of the concerns that the daughter could have put in the in the cell phone, or what is she searching on the internet? I don't know, but maybe the mother is aware. Maybe that's why the mother stays close to her. Nothing like a mother's love, you know, but maybe the daughter was having some type of distress. You don't know. And when that's the case, maybe people, because they're, you know, they're highly emotional, they get distracted. So the normal routine of charging the phone, and usually the things that you do that fall within the routine become secondary or non-existent because you're emotionally overwhelmed. So that could make sense for the phone not being charged the night before, because maybe something happened where the phone didn't even matter. And then I was thinking, you have a late night with your daughter, you know, you're comforting her, and then in the morning she gets up, she doesn't want to wake you, doesn't want to bother you, because you had a you had a long night with me, so I'm going to go ahead and sneak out and take a walk, maybe. And again, that could lead to two different ways, by the way. This could lead towards the abduction side, or could it lead towards the mental health? It depends on what the decision was to go up and get that walk. Now, the fact is that her phone is not charged, right? So she has no music. She has nothing she can listen to, because one of the interviews I saw, she liked to listen to music while she was walking. So if that was me and I was getting ready to do my routine walk at that routine time, and my phone wasn't properly charged, I would probably want to charge it a little bit so I can listen to some music, you know. So I'm going to wait a little bit and, you know, wait for that phone to charge up a little bit, just to give me some juice so I can go for my walk and listen to my podcast or listen to my music. But when the mother gets up 90 minutes later, she realizes that the phone is not charged. She winds up having to put the phone on the charger herself. And then eventually, obviously, with all the other concerns, the mother winds up calling the police to report her missing. But I wanted to add something, Russ. But my biggest concern here is the clothing. The clothing, to me, sounds like something could have been done that was impulsive. And if that's the case, then it leans to me more towards a mental health concern. But then why leave the house? And where would you go that you couldn't be found within a 2-minute walking distance?
Yeah, absolutely. If you see that I have something on the screen there I wanted to share with the audience real quick. So this is the search that I just did for Angelique Johnson, right? And if you go through the first Google page, and you go through the second Google page, search intensifies, and there's missing girls, and there's missing girls. Nowhere in there does it mention that she was contacted. And hey, I am cynical, but you know what? I think that when you look at something like that, they're selling ad space. They are getting clicks. And so, you know, I just want to be cautious, you know, when we discuss this kind of stuff, that, hey, you know, this whole thing may be an indicator with these 3 girls missing, but maybe again, it's not. And right now it's looking shaky with regards to that particular angle. You know, so as far as we know right now, you know, there's not a predator out there. There's not the groomer out there, and there's not a human trafficker out there. And I know that groomers and human traffickers overlap and all that stuff. But what I'm saying is right now, that's not holding up with what we see.
Right. And I love what you're saying, because it's like the primacy effect. It's the first thing you see carries the most relevance, and they're going to run with it until they can't. And the sad thing is like you have to force them to change the narrative. The sheriff clearly said at the end, we've been in contact where it's not the case, and they cut him off because of commercial break. They should have brought him right back on. That's breaking news. But now they're still running the narrative as multiple girls are missing, especially in this county, and it could be related to abduction. Now, I want to mention something, though. She goes to her car. The question is what it could be when she was going to her car. So I said, well, if you want to pull the one route of abduction and grooming, hypothetically, of abduction and grooming, then she could have went and got a burner phone. I did say it's highly unlikely, but it could be possible. And then she goes on her walk, but that's if that's her. I wish that we could really find out if that little walk is her definitively. Because I think that matters to me. Because now, if you watch this video here, real quick, this is the father now saying that that's not his daughter. So watch this.
We were at the press conference yesterday with the sheriff. There is new dash cam video. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Oh, it ain't her. She's a thin young lady, 110. Weighing 110, and that video looks like the dash cam. Look like a heavier person, at least 120. I'm a runner. Always ran my life, years, 7 miles a day. It's not her. You can tell that person.
Now, I want to mention something. They do digital enhancements, and hopefully they do go to the people that know them best to see if they can identify. So I don't know if he saw only the video that we're all seeing, or if the police brought the family back in to ask them, do you think this is your daughter? Because you could also check not just by appearance, but by how they walk. Walking could be also a signature. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Running, I'm good at it. He has shorts, so I'll see that foot coming. The camera, it ain't her.
No.
It ain't her, not at all.
What are you hearing from detectives and things like that?
Oh, they're on the case. They're putting I told them, please go all hands down on it, please. It's alive. It's alive. We're talking about a life. It's not a game, it's alive. My daughter, and time's going by, and it hurts more.
Absolutely. We're day 6, Alfonso.
6 days. It's agony. Pain. It's hard.
No, it's very
Break
hard.
down. Break.
I know. But you got people coming in and out. I mean, we got people from Houston. This is worldwide. This is getting a lot of attention, Alfonso. I mean,
I'll tell you, these reporters not even empathetic. She doesn't even give the guy a chance to breathe. He's breaking down, and she goes right in with the next question.
all eyes are on your daughter right now.
Yes, I'm real thankful. Yeah, all the support, people, the Tim Miller Association, that's what I said, and the global search, they're here too. Everybody, and make that's what stands, in my faith. First thing, I couldn't do anything without God first. With always God's first. I know He decides His hands. We're on His hands, on God. I always put God first, and all the help. You would see it here.
So today, what are we doing? We're getting organized, correct?
We're getting organized. Yeah, the rescue teams are here. You see that one here, global search, and then I heard there's another one coming from Houston. So the spots they haven't checked, or they're going to go. They still start spending. If we did 3 6 miles span or knock doors, or as a community to be up front, please. It's devastating. For me, like a father. I know they watching this interview. You guys got kids or fathers. I never wish that. Nobody, never experienced it. First time. Don't wish that to nobody. Wouldn't like to be in this situation.
No.
Heart's broken. Like I said it plenty of times, still broken, but I'm faith in God. That's the one that keeps me up.
Yeah, and it's day 6, and I can see the emotion wearing on you each day. We know how you're doing, but how are you getting through this right now?
My faith in God, like I told, my faith in God, prayers for my family. They're Christians, Catholics, all religions. I had a call this morning from my cousin from Virginia named Peter Bexar. He has his own church in Virginia. We're out there praying this morning. And prayers, words of prayers from Mexico.
Hey, Russ, real quick.
Yeah.
The only thing with let's say the mental health concern and the let's say we believe she had self-harm, whatever, but let's say she's not thinking clearly, maybe bipolar. I don't know. I mean, I think the mother may know something, maybe, because definitely maybe be close to her mother, and maybe the father truly doesn't know, because he never denies the fact that his daughter has a mental health concern, like we saw in the Breonna Aguilera case. He just says, I don't know, I wasn't told. But with that said, then why wouldn't she be discovered?
Well, what do you mean exactly?
Like, I mean, so let's say that she did have a mental health concern, and sorry, let me get us both back on for a second. Let's say she did, because we can see that, I guess, in the digital evidence, whatever it is, and she goes off to either do something foolish or, but let's say she's out of her state of mind. If this wasn't planned, it was impulsive, and they have all these resources in these immediate areas, and she went out walking, she didn't have a car, you figure she'd be discovered by now.
Well, that's another thing though, is people in manic states and stuff, they sometimes do, odd things. Hopefully she's not going to be, hopefully she's, not going to be, found dead. Hopefully they're going to find her alive. But there's always the chance that, she could have, ended up doing something, self-harm to herself in a manner that she might not be immediately found.
I mean, we don't know what's in that area. I'm not too familiar with the area, but there are people that are messaging me now that knows that area. I mean, is there something that she could have done impulsively that could have made her impossible to find? Like if she was to take her own life, could she have, I don't know the area. Could she have jumped into a lake or a river or something a bit more extreme? I don't know. I don't know the area. I don't know if you have anything on the area, Russ, but I don't know the area. But again,
I don't know. I don't know the area, but when I was prepping for this, I did look for water features. Obviously, I mean, I even hate bringing this up, but because I don't know the area, I don't want to say things like. But one of the things that I saw that I flagged on my prep was something called Culebra Creek, but I don't know how close that is. Supposedly, it's part of a major waterway. So that's just kind of. I know that there's a couple of ponds and stuff like that. That Culebra Creek, it's the most significant water feature in the area. But who can say? And the one thing that I didn't prep for, because I didn't have time, because we did this so quick, was I wanted to look and see if there had been inclement weather in the area, because who knows, maybe she might have been able to shelter somewhere. It's possible. I don't want to just go. I don't want to do what the predominant media cultists do and just start throwing things out there. But there's things that we don't know about her. She might know areas up there where she might have been welcomed into a trap house for good or for bad, and things like that. So.
Right. So they say this is not a bad neighborhood, but I'm saying, so the thing about the theory of maybe mental health concerns, she left impulsively. It wasn't planned. There was no third party involvement. Then I figured it would be sloppy. She would be recovered unless she, this was a way for her to take herself out, which we hope didn't happen, but in a way that makes it harder for them to recover her, which I don't know. I don't know what's there, but I think that's one of the concerns. I think that's something that could be something that because remember, sometimes you're trying to find something logical in what may be illogical, so as much you may say, well, this will make sense, but you may be dealing with a concern that really doesn't have that fluidity of sensible behavior. So again, for me, yes, I'm leaning towards the mental health concern only because they said that they found something on the phone. They found something in digital evidence, maybe in a search. And so that now biased me to now go ahead and see that this could be a route that was taken. But the problem is kind of like medical concerns where you have that diagnostic fixation. You have evidence that points in the other direction, but you're not willing to see it because you're stuck with, the foundational, the foundational piece, which to me is the digital evidence. But then again, what doesn't make sense with that, and why I think there could be an opening to abduction or trafficking, is I think she would have been discovered by now unless she was able to jump into a creek or something, because that could be impulsive. Oh, screw it, I'm done, and just jump into something. But I don't know what's out there. Maybe people in the comments could let me know. So again, without getting caught in any diagnostic fixation, any type of bias, suicide or mental health concerns could be a concern. But then you're looking at stuff impulsively, which is fine. That fits the clothing. Not taking the phone to some extent, even though the phone was dead. And then, again, not preparing for long travel. Okay, makes sense. But then she would have been discovered by now, in my opinion. So I got things that make sense up until that final part where she would have been discovered. But then it's funny because then if you look at it from the other way of abduction, if she went out and she got abducted, again, it makes sense why she didn't take the phone, because the phone wasn't charged. Okay, so it makes sense why she didn't take the phone. Whatever she went to the car for, we don't know. It could have been something she needed for her daily routine walk. And maybe because it's routine, she was observed. Maybe people know that this is something she does because she could have been observed. We don't know. And then, she's on her walk, but I don't know. Does she usually go to walk? I mean, maybe the family would know, in her pajamas like that. I mean, does she, or does she usually wear something a little bit more ready for the weather? And how long is the walk usually? I mean, they didn't answer any of that, but I'm just curious to see when she goes out for a walk, is there a set of type of clothing that she wears? Does she always go with her pajamas? Because if she always goes with her pajamas, then it's really not as impulsive. It's in the routine of what she does. But if she never goes in that way, because they didn't answer that, I would ask the mother, can I ask you a question? When she goes out for her walk, what does she usually wear? Well, she usually wears these types of outfits. Oh, so she wouldn't normally wear the pajamas? No. Okay, then maybe it is something a little bit more impulsive. Maybe, But then the only problem is this. If the father's right, and that video of her, or that video of a person at the dash cam isn't her daughter, then it makes sense that she could have ran to her car, maybe tried to get something. It could have been a charger, and then got abducted right by the car somewhere, maybe on the way back to the house, because it was the neighbor's cam that picked her up. It wasn't the house cam. So I don't know if the house has a camera either. Or I'm sure they're going to, I'm sure they'll find out where the digital evidence is, but maybe she could have went to the car quickly to get the charger because the phone wasn't charged and never made it back in the house. But what becomes confusing to us is the dash cam footage. But if the dash cam footage isn't the daughter, isn't Camila, then it makes sense that maybe she never made it that far, just the timing of it all. Because then she goes out for a walk and they're saying this person's running. I don't know, but maybe she never made it back in. But she never made it that far either. Maybe the dash cam footage, if it's not her, is throwing us off. Would you agree with that, Russ? What's your thoughts, Russ?
So I just think that with regards to are you there?
Yeah. I just want to try to move away from I told the audience, okay. I want to try to move away from the mental health. We got that. I covered that. I want to try to be objective and now try the other angle.
Well, yeah, and even though that's what we've been looking at, if we rule her out with regards to that, I mean, that's still like pretty close to her home, and what we saw with regards to the video was horrible. I couldn't say that wasn't you there on that. So we don't know what they showed to the dad, if it was even the same clip or if it was something else. If it was two different clips, then how do we even know that that's the same person in both clips? So it's I mean, you could look at it, was it a crime of opportunity and someone just saw her walking? Was it somebody who, because of her mental state, was able to take advantage of her? That's a possibility, certainly. I'm just leaning toward the other, though, just because that has the most pieces of the puzzle that fit.
It does, but it doesn't have the end. So the reason why I wanted to shift it a little bit is it doesn't have the end. So I'm not saying it's not, it didn't happen, but it doesn't, I mean, again, we don't know what's in the area. So because it's hard for me to stick to it 100% because I don't know about the ending. I think that we could look at the abduction route and say, you know what, if the dash cam video is not her, because we don't know what the enhancement brings. Because remember, even with the FBI helping, one thing is we don't know if they're able to show something that the police could see. But I don't know if the father saw the video, if the mother saw the video. We don't know what they've seen. But the father is adamant it's not his daughter. Could he be wrong? Maybe he could be. But I also think it's not just about size. It's, signature walks, whatever it is. And did she run? Because I don't know if they were saying this person was running. What did she usually wear? I think that's an important question to ask. When she goes out for these walks, sorry, does she usually go in her pajamas? That's important to ask, because let's say she doesn't. Why today? Why this day? Now let's look at that video, see if that's really her. Because if that's not really her, then the problem is something happened closer to the home. Maybe she did run to the car, look for a charger or something to charge the phone, and then whatever happened in that moment. And there's a lot of people that are seeing now, I don't want to run on it, but that there maybe someone in the background of some of that videos of her going to her car, that would be a concern, either a black truck or a shadowy figure. Again, it's not really released by law enforcement, so I'm trying not to run too much on it. But the two concerns is I get the phone. Phone wasn't charged. You're not going to take it with you. I get it. But what was she wearing matters. I wish that someone could tell us, what did she normally wear? What did she normally wear when she did these runs? Because a lot of us are leaning on impulsiveness because of what she wore. But she did go. So maybe she did have a mental health. Let's go back to that real quick. Maybe she did have a mental health breakdown, right? Which I was leaning on based on the phone. Based on what they said on the phone, it's the only thing right now that's leading me on that. And the Breonna Aguilera case, when I chased on the stuff for the reason why I think it's a suicide, is because there was a lot more evidence from Austin PD that was a bit more specific than just some note that they try to that Tony Busby and the mother may have tried to minimize by saying it was a homework assignment, but you didn't tell us by who, and you didn't answer all those questions. But here, all we have is what's on that phone, which we don't know what it is, but that makes us think, okay, wait a second, this is new. And now the media creates the narrative or switches their narrative towards, the fact that she could have had suicidal ideation, depression. We don't know what the context of those are. We don't know what specifically said in the digital evidence, the search engines, all that stuff. But again, if it was impulsive and not planned and she was the only one involved, there's no external threat. In my mind, she would have showed up by now, or she would have been discovered, unless she could have jumped off something or into the water where it's harder to discover, but they would be looking there. They would be able to judge the height and figure out something. But I don't know what's in that area. So because I can't properly fit that in, and you do have someone that abruptly disappears, kind of like the Sebastian Roger case, and you have someone that's abruptly disappears, and we're trying to make sense of it. It makes me think that there has to be a third party involved. And maybe not abduction, but maybe I'm not going to say, so I'm not going to say, let's just be careful here, but there has to be a third party involved, because maybe the impulsiveness was the fact that she was just going to run out, get the charger, and go back in. But somewhere in the middle of that, there was an obstacle, and unfortunately, she couldn't get past that obstacle. I mean, does that make sense, Russ?
Yeah. Well, I would say that here's the thing is that we don't really know a lot about what's in the area. We don't know if there's places in the area that she would have known to go. I brought up Trap House earlier, maybe out in the woods. But sometimes the way things unfold, you'd be surprised at how easily a body can be hid, even within a few feet of the road. So I know that they're probably out doing canvassing and stuff now. If something untoward had happened to her, You know, there is wildlife in the area that could have scattered things, but I don't want to go too far off into a bunch of stuff. But that there's just it's from that angle, it's still kind of thin. I hope we find out sooner, and I hope that it's good news.
And let me show you something here from Facebook here, because it's I don't really want to go into these theories either, but again, I wanted to try to treat this episode. I did the mental health one. I want to discuss this angle as well, because there's another side of the audience that believes that this could be the case, and I want to give them. I want to be able to be objective. Right here. Can you see the Facebook page, Russ?
No.
Oh no, hold on. Sorry. Right here. So again, you have digital enhancement. This ain't going to be here, but FBI can. This is the talks of the girl, but still, someone needs to contact a new agency. Angela Clean could easily have been abducted and be together. See, now people are still running with it. So hopefully they see this video.
Yeah,
and I love
and be together. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, that's throwing stuff at the wall and hoping something sticks.
Yeah. So someone says
you got
something.
A 19-year-old, and is she 14?
No, this one was 17.
The other one was 14. How old
the
is
other
she?
girl. This one's 17.
She's 17, and they're together somehow, and it's
they're not together. They're saying that.
No, that's what it said.
No, they're not saying that. They think the case itself are connected, but they were still treating them as isolated incidents. But these girls wouldn't have been together. That's not the.
But now we know that the at least the sheriff's position is that that girl is safe.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, guys, I agree, and we don't know. Maybe he's not releasing information on the other girl. Maybe that one he was more comfortable with, but he was quick to say that, and they didn't give it airtime. They're still not giving it follow-up airtime. And as Russ Googled it, I thought that was an excellent move by you, Russ. It doesn't show up.
Yeah, that because they want to sell. They want to sell. Excuse me. They want to sell clicks.
So this is the video they're saying. I guess is somewhere around 7 a.m. where you see her. There it is. I mean, I don't know what type of digital enhancement can put light on that or whatever it is. Oh, there it is. So to me, I could be wrong. That looks like a man. But who am I? Who am I? But let's look at that one more time. Watch when the light hits, Russ. You can kind of see it. And this is 7 a.m. in Texas. I don't know, but it's enough for the police to release it. So they weren't able to negate it. But then there's people saying this. This is what I wanted to show you. Maybe my visions are great, but can anyone tell me what they think this image is that's circled yellow? Oddly to me, it looks like a person in a white hoodie with the phone in their hands. So it's right here. So that's her going into the car. That's her going into her car. Let me put the whole picture up. That's her going into the car, but the person in the background with the white hoodie. But if you zoom in,
no, I don't think it looks like anything.
I don't think it's a white hoodie. I think there's a reflection that looks like someone's on their phone, but I don't think that's a person in a white hoodie.
No.
Yeah, so that's one rumor mill. So let's get that out of the way. And then there was another one with maybe that's the one they're talking about. That's the black truck. Yes, the build on the person by the car is not matching a 5'4" female. I don't think that's her in the photo by the vehicle. Just my thoughts. Well, you know what's funny? If she's wearing that hoodie right there. So look at that picture there, Russ. And now go back. Let's go back and look at the person walking real quick. Let's wait for the light to hit up. So they're definitely going by the clothing. I don't know. That's I would love to see what type of enhancements that they could do. So again, my only thing is
so much.
I guess
is just computer guesses on a,
So my only thing is, as I said, I just wanted to try to see if the abduction could. I mean, nothing's impossible. I mean, I think it would be great to try to see. I have a feeling maybe the father's right. We don't know. But I will say one thing, Russ. If she did make it on that path, walking, then where was she headed?
Yeah.
I mean, that's ultimately the question. So, guys, there's a lot here. Maybe this was more about getting the questions, but I would just ask the mother right now, what type of clothing does she usually wear for her routine walks? Maybe discuss more about the mental health concerns. But I honestly, I mean, it could be something could have happened after she went into her car to get something. I mean, if you have everything, hey Russ, if you have everything that leads not to an impulsive decision, I get it, because right now we're saying, let's say it could be impulsive because of the phone and what she was wearing, or what about if it was just a decision to run in and run out? So not impulsive, but let me get my charger and run back in. But now we're getting confused because there's this other dash cam coming out saying, no, she was taking a walk that day. Well, if that dash cam is wrong, or we didn't have that dash cam, we're only assuming it's a walk because the mother said it was a walk. The mother says she usually goes out for a walk at that time, usually, routinely, whatever it is. But we don't really know if she went out for a walk. I mean, we're assuming it because we think the dash cam's her, and we're assuming it because the mother says around that time she always goes for a walk. But what about if this day she was just running to her car to get her charger, and something happened in that moment and took her there? Now
see, it's all just coming down to supposition, but whatever was on the Ring camera didn't capture anything additional.
Well, they wouldn't. It's not their Ring camera; it's a neighbor's Ring camera. So if the guy or whoever took her, Russ, they may not. So remember, the Ring camera only gets the motion. So if she went out of view, and the person got her in an angle, the camera wouldn't have picked it up, because they may not have had a Ring camera. Because if they had a Ring camera, then I would assume we would have more footage, or at least a different angle.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. On their canvas in that area, there's a lot of different houses. So I just don't know, and they seem to think that's her on the one.
Yeah, but why wouldn't the other houses?
Yeah, but just listen, so if that whether that is or isn't her, they have some kind of indication of something in that area. They haven't tracked down that other person to rule them out. So I just don't know. I mean,
that's a 2-minute walk from her house, they're saying, because they're going by the length of time, right? They're saying it's 2 minutes. But then again, you would have other cameras before that catching her then walking to that area. So I think if they would have found another video footage of her walking to that area, whatever it is, from the house, we would have had that already. Because they released this one. Why would they?
But they would have also. But at least at this point, they're still thinking that that's her, because the other person, they would have found a different direction of travel.
No, they're not. They're not 100% thinking it's her. They say they're only going by what they feel is the closing.
But at least if they can't identify for sure any cameras in that area between that, and there's no other indicators of a camera that was on some other person that came from a different direction or a different area, they don't have that either. So I mean, it doesn't completely rule it out, but it
doesn't completely rule it out. But the evidence, again, trying to be objective.
It up, though.
No, wait, because I want to try to show a different perspective here, Russ. We did the mental health, but just to be fair, I want to try to be more objective. I don't want us to stay focused on just one theory. I want to mention one other thing, Russ. There's a lot of evidence saying here that if she didn't go out and take the walk, If the mother could tell us what she normally wore, if the mother could tell us, remember, because there's things here, she didn't take her phone. I get it, the phone was dead. Why not wait for it? Why go for your walk without your phone? Why go to the car? Could you have gone to the car for the charger, not bring it back into the house if it is a charger? Maybe she went for her ID. I don't know where her ID was. But there's a lot of evidence pointing that if this wasn't impulsive and she went out, went to her car, got something, maybe she never went out to the walk. Because if there were other houses there, maybe they have cameras, like we said, they could have showed more than just the end result. They could have showed her kind of like the Sebastian Rogers theory. You know, how does a person make it to an end result without having, if there's cameras in the neighborhood, how do we not see bits or pieces before it's 2 minutes out this way? That means all those areas don't have any cameras to watch her. Yet, you know, I don't get it. What about if she just never made it past that confined area? I don't think it's impossible, only because in my last episode, the one thing I really didn't touch on, and that we're kind of touching on here, Russ, is the fact that if it was self-harm, whatever it is, mental health breakdown, she wasn't thinking logical, whatever it is, I think that she'd be a better chance of her being discovered at this point. Nothing's 100%. I get it. Nothing's 100%, but there'd be a better chance for her being discovered. In this case here, what's leaning on this for me a little bit is that she hasn't been discovered. And then they really haven't confirmed that that's her on the body camera, on the dash cam. So at this point here, what about if she never made it past the car? Or what about if she could have been abducted? Even if that is on the dash cam, she could have been abducted. But I think the biggest concern here, Russ, that it's hard for us to figure it out right now is why hasn't she been discovered yet?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just back with the thing that, you know, bodies have ended up in places where people walked right by all the time. I'm not saying that this is the case. I'm just saying that, you know, sometimes that happens. And
yeah, but
and, you know, I mean, and it could be,
I just feel
I'm looking at
what are you looking at?
I'm looking at the difference between what the friends and family called unusual versus usual. And I know that,
oh, you saw that on the Facebook page.
What Facebook page?
They're talking about that on Facebook right now.
Yeah, but I'm looking specifically what they didn't say here. I'm not looking at what they said. I'm looking at what they didn't say.
Yeah,
they did not say that the pajamas were usual. They didn't say they were unusual, but because they didn't mention it in the unusual category. Wait, no, let's see. Because they didn't put it in the unusual category, I would say that this is, they did not say that the pajamas were unusual. So I'm going to say that was her usual garb.
Well, right. But listen, so they also said, Russ, you want to go by that, Russ? They say friends and family emphasized that leaving her phone behind was highly uncharacteristic. Her best friend noted that Camila usually stayed on the phone with others during her morning walks and always kept it charged. That's part of her routine. So even if the phone wasn't charged, part of her routine is to take the phone. She would have went with the phone. She would have gotten in the car, gotten the charger, charged up the phone, and would have went on the walk with her phone. Because that's part of her routine. She talks to people while she's on her walk. She listens to music. So she probably, in my mind, she could have went to the car, grabbed the charger, we don't know, to charge the phone. I don't think she would have went on the walk without her phone. Yeah. I mean, if you go, because they're talking about that, the usual versus the and there's nothing here that, so the specific thing here is that they say she would go on the walk with her phone. And these are the things that she would do on the phone. That's specific. They're telling you what she would do as part of the routine. We're making an assumption on the clothing because that's not mentioned. That's a question that needs to be asked. Does she usually go on the walk in her pajamas?
See, that just takes me right back to it being a manic episode. Though she's doing things that are out of her usual.
No, it could be, Russ, but if that's the case, Russ, where's the logic? Like, so basically in her mind, So therefore, why wouldn't they have
there's
discovered her by now?
There is no logic with someone that's in a manic
I
state.
know. So that's what I'm saying. So if there was no logic, wouldn't you think that if she was having a concern to be a bit sloppy and she'd be discovered? Or they would have an idea of where she would be?
Well, I mean, that's possible, but I'm just telling you, I've seen so many cases where people walked by a body, you know, even for months or years. And
well, Russ, we're talking about police, we're talking about drones, we're talking about dogs, we're talking about every resource out there. My concern is you have all these resources.
I'm just saying that it's not impossible.
So they're saying that I live in San Antonio and people here are feeling like the Camila Mendoza Olmos case is eerily similar to the disappearance of Maridelis Labrador Silas, who went missing back in March 2025, almost within the same block where Camila was last seen. Both of them were out walking, running in the morning. They disappeared. Maridelis was found 2 days later in a wooded area, and an autopsy revealed she died from a stab wound on the chest. Investigators also found a shovel, machete, and 2 wooden planks near her body. Even with all this, authorities ruled her death a suicide. But if you ask anyone in San Antonio, we don't buy that conclusion. So I wanted to kind of have a show that we kind of were a bit kind of had the mental health, and I get it. But we can't minimize the fact that the end result is if this was someone, and again, I even though I covered it a little bit more wholeheartedly in the last one, and this one here, I wanted to focus more on the abduction. The end result would be she wasn't. I think she would have been discovered. So now I'm trying to think.
I mean, it's possible, but I just think that, you know, there's something that there are ways that she could have, you know, stayed in the state for a while and gone somewhere. I just, like right now, I just don't see any other, you know, thing beyond circumstantial at this point.
Okay, so I will say this. So as we wrap up, guys, this is why we have the discussions. We're tossing the evidence. You never know which way the narrative goes. But with that said, I think even though we have only the one thing that says that she had a mental health concern, we don't know what the mother knows. We don't know what was conveyed to the father. We don't know what happened the night before. We don't know the routine of her pajama, like if she wears the pajamas when she runs, if she doesn't. Also, the routine is taking a radio or taking the phone, listening to music, talking to her friends. That wasn't taken. And even if the phone wasn't charged, unless the routine is based on the time, I would wait. I would do it. If I had to take a walk and my phone wasn't charged, damn it, now I got to wait 30 minutes and I got to charge my phone because I don't want to do the walk without, you know, listening to my podcast or, you know, maybe making a phone call or two. So I'll be honest with you. I think there's more evidence that makes sense right now that leans in the other direction. That's less circumstantial, because the fact is, where's her body? You know, so I guess what we're going to have to figure out. But either way, I'm trying to advocate. This is what me and Russ do, where we try to advocate for each side, so we could bring out the best. So maybe in one show you see me go this way, in one show you see me go another way. The reason being is because we try to stay passionate to our arguments, because in the end, none of us really know, but maybe in the advocacy of one side over the other, we can ask the right question. I think the questions that need to be asked right now were discussed in this show. It was a great show, Russ. I appreciate that, man. And always keeping each other on our toes. Hey, Russ, anything you'd like to say in closing?
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, people, when you're out there, be aware of your surroundings. Do not get complacent. You know, I have a little bit of concern. I know that, you know, I tend to wax towards the paranoid. But it's kept me alive this long. It kind of concerns me a little bit that a 19-year-old woman, you know, phone or not phone, is just going to go out there walking by herself. Yeah, I'm a chauvinist or something like that, I guess. In this case, you know, since we don't know what happened, I hope that she gets found alive. But I think in a lot of situations, keep your head on a swivel, carry pepper spray. And be ready to take action and game it out in your head. I hate seeing these things. I hate seeing people lost and their families not knowing where they are. It's a terrible, horrible feeling.
All right, guys, and as always, the show is Tier Talk. If you like the discussion, please, I do have Buy Me a Cup of Coffee. It's the link in the description. You'll see mine first, then Russ's below it, and then you'll also see it on top of the YouTube channel. As always, guys, stay safe.